Top of the morning, the afternoon, and the evening to you, whomever you may be, wherever you may be watching, looking, or listening. It's your boy Ammo, the hostess with the mostest, coming live and direct from the studio, the Mind of a Man studio, and I want to welcome you to Church Flow. This is a special breaking news emergency podcast from Church Flow, man. There's been a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the news. Those of you who live in Arlington, those of you who may be caring about what's going on in the churchdom world, I got something to talk about tonight. The KCC and Pastor Ronnie Goines fallout, man. It's time that we talk about it, okay? And for those of you who aren't familiar with Church Flow, this is the platform where we take all of the misrepresentation and underrepresentation of the body and we put things in the proper landscape. The things that must be said for the betterment of the body. Welcome once again to all of you who are tuning in for the first time. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe and tune in for everything that we are bringing to this channel. With that being said, for those of you, like I said, who may live in the Arlington area, for those of you who may be familiar with the church world, we had a bunch of different things that were going on. And Ammo just stopping by to talk to you and give you a layout of how things have gone, what the landscape was at the time and what it is now. I am more than happy to be the source and outlet to where you can get, whether you believe it or not, unbiased information and facts and some opinion for sure about what is going on in the church world. So with that being said, I had been an attender of Cornelia Christian Church here in Arlington for about 10 years. Now, my reasoning for why I decided to not be a part of the church at that time had nothing to do with the things that were going on. And I'm very familiar with the pastor, love him to life actually, because I am not a man that can be swayed by public opinion. I'll just put that out there. I do believe in facts. I do believe in truth. I do believe in due process and all of those things. So with that being said, let's start here. At some point in 2023, there was an all church, I won't say email, but a message within the app that stated certain facts about the status of Pastor Goines' relationship and what it was going to look like moving forward. A shock to many, and for some, most people don't care. When you look at the church world, we live in a time, and I think it's probably always been this way, where the information that matters is what we get from the pulpit. A lot of the times, people don't care about what is going on with people outside of those four church walls, so to speak, until it hits their doorstep. And so, at some point, there was an announcement made within the app that there were some things going on, some changes were going to be made, and that Dr. Goines believed that he wasn't doing anything wrong to contribute to the things that were going on in the relationship. We skip ahead. In September, there is a public display of, hey, I'm having a divorce. You guys have had a divorce as well. Let's talk about it. People are going to talk. Hear it from the horse's mouth. So I want to park there just right now before we get into all of the other things and dynamics that come along with everything that happened as life got really rough and really rugged for Pastor Goines at that time. Being a member, a person who was sitting in the pews, serving the church at that time, there was a lot of angst from the people. A lot of the times we know how this goes, being popular, I'll say being very familiar with how the church world goes. People don't like the idea of pastors having life situations going on. People don't like the idea of pastors representing something that makes them look human at times. I believe that as I look back at that situation and I think back to, for me, I believe you serve where your feet are planted, right? Let me start there. I believe that when it comes to, you know, you sweep your own front and back porch, right? You should know the word for yourself. I believe you should do everything that you can to let church life, words from the pastor, be something that you get because it's lock in step with how you are already living your life, right? Um, in our society, we can be real. We know the statistics say under 10%. I'll just say it like that since I don't have the exact stat because that wasn't the key point. Under 10% of believers actually read their Bible. So that would mean that if you're not opening it for yourself, you're actually going to believe anything that comes out of a pastor's mouth. And I'm saying this in general, right? It's easy to preach somebody happy, to sing somebody happy. Most believers don't really read their word to know their word, to challenge it. When pastors say, if you don't believe me, open up your book, head home, and it still works. Believers aren't opening up their Bibles. And the expectations that are put on the local pastors is something that is an actual problem today because these people can't go through real life experiences anymore. Um, and looking at the KCC fallout and the things that have happened with the congregation, et cetera, are a great example that these words ring true. So in September, Pastor Goines sat on stage, he sat on a stool, and I am a platform that believes in being completely honest, open, transparent. As much as if you've been on here before and you've heard me make reference to Pastor, I'll say it 1,000 times. I love the man. Doesn't mean here's the thing about love. If we have a relationship of any sort, two people, and depending on the level of that relationship, if I can't express certain things about how I feel about how you do things, or if I can't disagree with you, if the only time that we can have a healthy interaction is when I'm telling you something good, or if you are giving me something, that's not a real relationship. In my mind, although I wasn't in a close circle of pastor like that to where I was going to say, hey, bruh, I think that was out of pocket. I wasn't always okay with everything. And this is just for the sake of being completely honest about what it has been like over the last 2 years, where there was only a small section of time where I wasn't at the church, maybe from like October to January, February-ish or whatever. But I remember thinking to myself, this is kind of like a stand-up comedy show, that I didn't necessarily care for. I'm okay. I'm not, for me, I've been in church my entire life. So showing up to serve, to get a word, that's second nature to me. My faith is also very much grounded in a way that things that happen to people don't have to be the deciding factor of how Anthony shows up. And I believe that is definitely a grave issue with how we are experiencing church in today's world. If a pastor has a bad experience, then we don't go to church anymore. And now that's the reason why we aren't showing up. So, that was September 2023 where we get that, right? So let's go ahead and skip ahead. In March, being backdated from the affidavit, in March, on two separate occasions, we got word that a young lady who I, don't know the name, had interactions, went on a date with Pastor Goines, where it ended up, they go out, they come back to his apartment, and, It was some type of, grooming, uh, in her words, sexual advances, kissing, things were extended to her that she said no to multiple times. To which she was able to break free and get out of the apartment, the condo, and get to her car and go home safely. Somehow, according to reports, she was gaslit, in her words, not what I'm saying happened, but what was reported. She was gaslit to believe that she was tripping, nothing was wrong. Come on back, everything will be cool. Um, the next night, for whatever the reason, she comes back, and the situation escalates. Now, I could not find the actual affidavit, but in my reading of the affidavit a while ago, it was like, I broke free, I got to the bathroom, he tried to break into the bathroom. That on that second night there was a reaching under her clothing, her garments, to escalate the situation, like I'm saying, from the alleged victim's perspective. Once again, she was able to get out of the bathroom, get out of the apartment condo to get to her car to go. Okay. Now, there was time between March and June where she actually filed the charges, where she actually went to the police to report what she believed was the wrongdoing, to actually be able to, she was, encouraged to, hey, you need to speak up, you need to say something. Okay, so in June, there are two different charges filed: a felony for SA, and there was a misdemeanor for indecent A. If you need to know what those terms mean, I will type them, but try not to say them. I guess they're known to be trigger words. This is just information that we are reporting, so I don't know why it would be trigger words, but all the same, we understand. So those reports are filed in June. So following that, there's an investigation conducted by APD, Arlington Police Department, and they then issued the warrants for the arrest of Pastor Goines, Dr. Goines. In July, he turns himself in willingly. He spends some time in there, maybe a week, or not more than a week to my belief, because I was actually attending and serving and watching all of these things happen in real time, and was released from jail July 27th of 2024. So from there, let me stop and say this. You have a local pastor, and anybody who's involved in the church world understands that, or you don't even have to be involved in the church world. You could just be involved in life, and you'll understand that most men, if this label is put on them, that is who they are now. It does not matter if this person, that person, whoever it is, was high out of their mind on drugs. If they, and sidebar, this young lady in particular that is involved in this situation is a victim of SA before. There is proof that she actually was SA before. So let's just put that out there, okay? So that's what brings some things into question when we look at this actual situation as we break it down at some point. So let's just let that be known. This is a prior victim of SA. So there's that. She was said to have joined the church in 2022. One of the issues that I have, and I don't like this from local media or any media outlet period, is the shaping and molding of, like, you're building a case for somebody to be Jeffrey Dahmer or, Ted Bundy or whoever you want them to be, to make the story more salacious, more racy. It's like this whole narrative of, I am presenting myself to be something, or the church to be something, that can allow people to be pulled in so that I can then be the manipulator, be the gaslighter. It's not to say that that isn't true of people, but for that to be the automatic approach that happens a lot of the time, it's a very old narrative. It's like Larry Reed Live, saying like, okay, we have so many of the same things going on or being reported. Why am I going to continue to report these things, right? And so I do believe, as we stop here, we have to understand that at the moment that these charges were filed, at the moment that this became public information, Pastor Goines was already viewed as guilty. Period. Because in our society, and I'm going to skip ahead to something I was going to say later on, people are just always fake mad about something. They're fake outraged. They knew he was this grand predator. And I'm kind of just over that narrative, right? Now, does that mean that, and let me also preface it by saying, could it hit me a little bit different because I've actually had interactions with this person? We don't know, being a part of the Watchmen and serving on a regular basis, being in the back office, having certain conversations, training him at a certain point. Does that mean we always know everything that people have going on? No. But 9 times out of 10, with the example of somebody like a Jeffrey Dahmer or a Ted Bundy or some of these people, it's extreme cases that it's kind of like you just didn't want to see this, right? So for anybody who would say, you know what, you too close to really have an opinion, you should probably stay out of this. I'd say that's fair of you if that's what you want to say. But I would also say, hear the whole story as it's presented, take the information in as it's presented, and then you be the... What's funny is that within the legal world, within the the judicial system, there's due process, there is evidence presented, there's cases made, whether that's a jury, judge, whatever. And then you gather the findings, and then you make your assessment of whatever you believe to be true about the person, about the situation, and then we go from there. That never happens with the groups. This being church flow, we all know that Barabbas could have absolutely been convicted for the crimes that he committed. He was a known offender. He was a known murderer or whatever. And they said, no, we want Jesus of Nazareth. So with that being said, the group can be swayed and the group can persuade. That's how it goes. So let's not think that just because half of the church left or all of these different things that automatically then becomes the reality of how we should be able to look at a person through that lens. So that's my first thing, is just realizing that at the moment that those charges were brought up, he was viewed as guilty by public opinion. I have a personal account of somebody showing me his mugshot with a smirk on their face. I saw the mugshot from a member that had a smirk on their face. I also heard the murmurs of, oh man, I told you should have did X, Y, and Z. Now it's like you were wise counsel to this, to pastor, or I heard it and I saw it and I just watched. Now, the human side of any person is always going to run things through their head about how they should take information in, what is the final verdict on what I believe to be true about this person based off of my interactions. Um, I'll say this. I remember saying to myself, I know a lot of things to be true about Pastor, right? Because he was absolutely my pastor at that time, right? And I'll be honest, in being able to talk about things like this and report news as it comes and things like that, I saw it as very necessary to be Switzerland, right? Because I was a part of a church for a short time because I believed that it was something that I needed that I wasn't able to get because of everything that was going on, but that what was going on wasn't the reason why I decided to move on at that time. But I can't. You have your thoughts. I'll just say it that way. You're human. How you act and how you behave as a result of the things that come out, the public information, the charges, all of those things, that's totally up to whatever your character is and all of those things. But yes, I saw the mugshot from a member that had a smirk on their face. It was interesting to me for sure. But I remember saying to myself, just not being biased. I think it's hard for people to believe in today's culture that you could do something, you could be a part of something, you could be close to someone and not be biased. You could say, I could say, just a prime example, I love my brother, but he's a liar, right? And that's just, I'm not, I do have a brother, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, I could be that person that could say, you know what, I love my brother, but he be stealing. I wouldn't leave my wallet around him, right? So I am that same person when it comes to anybody around me. I am able to properly assess what I see for whatever my point of view or my vantage point is, right? And I remember saying to myself, Pastor may be a lot of things, but I don't know about a rapist. I don't know about a taker. Like you're gonna go take. Now, mind you, you don't know who people are in their private time, so that's just goes without saying. But I wasn't gonna jump off the deep end. I do believe in due process, and I do believe people should be able to be given a fair shake on whatever they got going on, you know. And during that time, we also have to keep in mind that there was already a great exodus from KCC because there was a lot of people who did not agree with the fact that Pastor was actually getting a divorce. It's so interesting to me that there are people that have been once, twice, three times removed from a spouse. But when your pastor goes through it, now it's scorched earth, and now the sun is never going to shine again, and you're so disappointed by a human being. The saddest part about all of it is that, even with myself going through things that I went through the last couple years and feeling like I couldn't be human at times, that I had to show up and just look a certain way, present a certain way, because I'm a man, because I'm a black man, because you don't want to let people see you sweat and all of these things. And to see that he went through all of these things, I don't think anybody ever took into account, man, what is it like if none of this is true? What is it like to be a man who's the leader and represents a whole body, a mega church by today's standards? What if none of this is true? I don't think many people ever ask those questions. I think it's just you look and say, well, he got divorced and I don't agree with it. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. Here's what I also will tell you that I've said, that I said to myself, that I said to other people as they watched on, as they asked me what I thought, as they gave me their opinions on my church. I said, do I believe that Dr. Ronnie Wayne Goines is an essayer, a rapist, any of those things? No, I don't really believe that. But I do believe that God will expose when you're moving in a way that may be considered less than honorable, even in a season. Depending on who you are, depending on how long you stay in a season, because we are human. We live our lives. We don't always make the best decisions. You know, being believers doesn't exonerate us from being tested. Being believers doesn't stop us from being pulled away by our own flesh and selfish desires. Like, that's just Bible. But I think that it's so easy to see pastors as less than human and to just put these expectations out there on how I feel like you should live, or, you know, whatever that may be. So I'll say this too, moving on. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say what I actually wrote. The major issue with all of this was people believed that he wasn't living what he preached to us. There were close people who spoke to him, sent out emails and all of those things. And in their minds, there was no true accountability or reciprocation for his actions or choices. You know, one of the most, and given the circumstances, whatever, you know what I'm saying, people are different. You'll go through circumstances and situations like this, and you'll start seeing where people stand. Sometimes, even if it was just God exposing that you may have been moving in a way that was beneath how he desired for you to move, or the type of man and a woman that he desired for you to be, if all of those things can happen sometimes to remove the snakes, to prepare you, to really humble you, to really get a grasp on your heart, to move you to the next phase in life. Because here's the thing. If somebody is going to try to convince me that Dr. Ronnie Wayne Goines cannot be vindicated by the Lord, if you're going to try to convince me that because he might have made bad decisions in his life as a believer, as a pastor, as a leader, as a parishioner, that God can't redeem him, can't redeem his time, can't prepare him to weed out the people who were just there to get a laugh or to just get a word to preach them happy, then you're sadly mistaken. It doesn't have anything to do with whatever your personal agenda is. I'm telling you that if you are a believer, you better absolutely believe that he is a God that can restore what the locusts have eaten. This ain't got nothing to do with pastor. This ain't got nothing to do with, I'm telling you that God is always taking us through things to align us in a way that he could actually make us useful. And there's plenty more to go to on here on this docket, but if you have lived any life and made a bad decision, if you've been drinking and driving, if you've been having unprotected sex, if you've been stealing, if you've been lying, if you've been physically assaulting people, and you ain't never got, you know, you got bad road rage, you ain't never got ran out the road, you don't believe that God's a redeemer. So to believe that that same God can't change pastor's heart, or can't redeem him, or can't make him a more honorable man because of the things that he's experienced, I will repeat again. I believe that if nothing else, I believe that all could have happened because maybe he didn't heed warning. Maybe he was moving in some ways that weren't proper. Not SA, not rapist, but just that's not who you are. But I guess I wonder, has anybody, and I'm not, man, I hope that this can be received in a way, this whole thing, not what I'm about to say, but I just hope the whole thing can be received in a way where people can take a step back for 2.5 seconds and look at themselves from a human perspective. Right? You don't get up and go to work on time. You don't give your kids a bath every night. And all of those things are minuscule compared to the things that were brought against this man. But I'm just saying, man, we are so flawed and human, and we forget about it because we have this self-righteous indignation that isn't biblical. Even though we act like it is, we tend to forget that, yeah, that dude got a plank. He got a speck over there, but sheesh, you got a plank, bro. Sometimes the fact that we don't realize what real love actually looks like within the body, it shows. I think the way that we respond to pastor or whoever is going on something in the body, or people that we were attached to at one time in our lives, or our children or whatever, we forget. We forget that we miss the mark on a regular basis. It's a sad thing. And so I remember during that season, I remember everything about this man being scrutinized. Everything. If you name it, it was scrutinized. The fact that he wasn't wearing suits like he used to, and he was, now mind you, Pastor, if you ever watch this, let me tell you something. I hate, and I mean hate with a passion. I don't care if it's Balenciaga, I don't care if it's purple, whatever that brand is. I hate them skinny jeans. You hear me, sir? I said with love in my heart, I hate them skinny jeans with a passion. Please stop wearing skinny jeans. That's a whole nother situation. But, it's like he can't wear sweatpants. He can't wear nice clothes. It's the idea he can't drive a nice car. It's like everything is scrutinized. And it was the idea that because he was going through a divorce, he had jumped off the deep end. And I remember he told me one time when I was training him, he said, I've always been the guy who was kind of countercultural when I'm giving a word. They've always believed, not they've always believed, I got my daughter texted me and it threw me off. People have always believed that he was already kind of on the edge a little bit. But you are who God made you to be. So during that time period, listen, July July of 2024, Samaya, I love you to life. Stop texting me, sweetheart. You messing up and she so anyway, sorry about that. I love my daughter to life, but anyway, she's a big girl. But anyway, July 2024, it was 59 people in that church. Do you hear me? It was 59 people at that church, and 25 of them was AVL members, audio visual listeners, whatever that L stand for. And it was a different time because you start seeing people coming out of the woodworks. People who it was funny because it's like people think that because somebody goes through something or because something wasn't favorable for you, that now we get to pile on like it's a football pile or something, like we going for the fumble. I remember it was a man who, to my knowledge, was actively living in a homosexual lifestyle. If you with that, you with that. I'm just telling you, in the body, if we're going to live a certain way, we can't be actively is the key word. It's wrong for all of us. It ain't just the homosexual people. If you actively getting skins, if you actively stealing from Walmart, if you actively lying to your kids, if you actively not taking care of your family, it's all wrong. But I'm saying it was a guy who was approached about, hey man, this and that, boom, boom, boom. You're a member. You serve. This and that. Maybe it's the way you color your hair, which I'm not saying this literally, but maybe it's you painting your nails. We got to be a little more mindful of that. God jumps off the deep end. So now, when this comes out, now he ready to go. Yeah, I already knew it. It's like, we got to stop. We got to stop this cap, okay? We just got to stop the cap. So, anyway, moving on. February of 2025. The same young lady who reported the charges then files a lawsuit against KCC and Pastor Goines. He's sued on 7 different counts, including sexual exploitation, assault, negligence, fraud, intentional infliction, emotional distress, and civil conspiracy. Now, I don't know if anybody wants to touch stuff like this. I personally don't mind. It's what I do. I'm a confrontational person, and for those of you who gonna have something slick to say, that don't mean people out here fighting and arguing with folks. That means we're going to address the elephant in the room. Let me read these one more time. February 2025, Pastor Goines and KCC are sued for 7 different counts, including sexual exploitation, assault, negligence, fraud, intentional infliction, emotional distress, and civil conspiracy. Let me pause right there. Let me pause there and let me go back to the thing I was going to say. There was a hotline that you could call to report certain things that you may have known that could have helped the case, right? There were active members that served, that called this hotline to report information that had nothing to do with the case. When we talk about snakes in the grass, when we talk about people with agendas, people whom you serve amongst, the Judas Iscariots of the world, to call a hotline to report things that have nothing to do with the SA or the indecent assault, I don't know how much more of a coward and a lame person that you could be. Sorry, not sorry. Like, that's just, anyway. So, skipping ahead. Now, I understand the angst in today's society with church, right? And the fact that people like to say church hurt has something to do with those actual 4 walls that church life is conducted in. The reality is, people hurt people. Church don't hurt people. So when we look at, oh, I don't go to church no more, it's typically because of something that was said in the pulpit, lack of love that somebody did. I was sitting at a table recently and heard and listened to a young lady say that she was no longer in the choir because there was no love given to her before there was an actual correction about her outfit. When we start talking about tradition, when we start talking about the good old days of whatever, we got to start looking at, this ain't it, y'all. This ain't the way that we make ourselves the example of what people need to be brought in and to feel love within the body. Hurt people hurt people. And the mistake that people often make is thinking that because people go to church that they're healed. Because they go to church, they ain't gonna lie to you and they ain't gonna take from you. And listen, Paul in the New Testament, the greatest writer of the New Testament, he wrote 70% of the New Testament, said several times for us to bear with one another in love. I promise you, I read it so much at one time, I was like, bruh, is he pushing any other word or agenda besides that? Because Paul knew we are frail. We are human. We ain't always led by the Spirit even when we serving in those 4 walls. So I get people's angst with church, but listen to me. You're telling me that Dr. Goines and KCC what was the fraud? What was the negligence, the intentional infliction, the emotional distress, and the civil conspiracy? I just respectfully, please hear my heart, because I know how this goes on the internet. People take things, they run with them, they put their emotions inside of it, and then they sell it out for the world. These charges are nonsensical. And so the number attached to this was $1 million. So we're suing the church for $1 million. There's insurance and different things like that. Smart thing to do for any business owner. But come on. I mean, I just say that with love in my heart. Please. Sometimes we have to take a step back and actually look at what's going on and ask like questions like, if you, y'all, some people just gonna be mad, and I'm cool with it. I'm not on here to attack anybody, but it's the internet. If you are a wounded person, I'll say it this way: if you're a wounded person, if you're a person that has been abused by somebody, and please, if somebody say Stockholm syndrome, we're gonna have to catch the fade, bruh. We're gonna have to catch the fade, because I don't want to hear this Stockholm syndrome stuff. People aren't running to their abusers, and do you know the circumstances surrounding most situations don't even lend to that theory. Stockholm syndrome. She wasn't in a cave for 4 months and he fed her, and just stop it, man. We got to stop being so naive within the body. And it's the reason why people outside the church don't want to deal with us, because we can't keep it real. So those charges are reach by far. A reach by far. So let's skip ahead here. So the timeline says September of 23, there's an announcement, hey, going through a divorce, right? Before that, earlier, it might have been like a month or two before that. I don't remember that time frame, but before that, there was a text blast on the app that says, hey, some indiscretions that went on. I didn't do it. That's what I want to get to. Thank you, Lord. Okay, so the issue with a lot of people, and I said this earlier, but I have a different take than I said earlier. There was a lot of things during that season of life, and I'm here to be held accountable and to hold people accountable. That's what it is. There were a lot of things that were done that if it were flipped, I believe Pastor would have told us as men we were acting like whatever word you want to put in there. So the issue with a lot of things was the fact that, bro, you would never let us do something like that. You would never let us say something like that. And I believe that was where a lot of the things were. People who had been married, people who he may have coached through, they were on the brink of divorce, and then he was able to, with the Lord's help people reconcile their marriages. People start looking like, so the same God that helped reconcile my marriage couldn't reconcile yours? All fair questions. But at the end of the day, we all have choices. And I believe that if nothing else, the failures of Pastor at that time tapped into the brokenness of little boys within grown men. Something that people don't want to talk about, something that people don't want to be real about, but it's the disappointment of, well, my daddy wasn't there, or my daddy divorced my mama, or whatever the situation may have been. I truly believe that a lot of the men that left, that took grave issue with what was going on with Pastor at that time, were looking at a mirror of not themselves, but of maybe of men that represent what being a man represented in their life. And it's hard to take. I've been disappointed by Pastor before. It's been a long time. But I've had my issues with Pastor. Around the pandemic, I wasn't going. I was done with Cornelia. Because I was disappointed by Pastor. I feel like you weren't treating me like the son I wanted you to treat me like. I text your phone, you don't answer me back. I call you, you send me the voicemail. This is real life stuff that I experienced. I was church hopping. Hey, we're going to find us a church. Me and my family, we're going to find us a church, kinfolk. Oh, you can believe that, kid? Yeah, we're going to find us a church. It was out of order. That's the first thing. Because if you have an issue as a man, if you, whoever you are, if it's a man on the other end of this camera, if you have an issue with another man, it is your responsibility to give the opportunity to have a conversation or for somebody to make something right. To jump ship, to go to another church, you have the right to do it. But we as a body don't do things decently and in order. And if as a man that has a responsibility over children, over a wife, over a household, over a job, over a position, whatever, if you are not living decent and in order on your own, it is so hypocritical for you to expect it of a pastor at any church, a supervisor at a job. I don't care, of your kids. It's absolutely do as I say and not as I do. That's the mentality of believing men who don't address the elephant in the room, who won't go and have a conversation with the man that you believe you're called to. There were people in that season of life at Koinonia that left that church and they were absolutely called to it. They were called to be a foundation, the backbone, deacons that left that church. That you were the pillar that somebody else needed to not leave. Because no matter what you want to say, that church don't belong to Ronnie Wayne Goines. It belongs to the Father. Sorry. And for you to leave and not have a real conversation, to not air your grievances out in love, to hold him accountable as a man. Because there were also men, big, strong men, watchmen men, that were given the opportunity to have a conversation and they chose not to. There are men right now that are leaving the and this is what I want us to stop doing, because I got things on the docket here, but let's talk here, let's build. Hit the like, comment, let me know who you are if you ain't scared, but let's have a real conversation here. This is what I want us to stop doing as men in 2025. Stop blaming your wife for leaving that church. Stop blaming your wife. Because as much as our household should be in order, if I'm not bothered, baby, let's pray about it. But if my feet are called to be planted at 24:55, we got to figure something out. Because trying to use happy wife, happy life is not the play here, guys. I'm sorry. But I'm seeing men cower and use their wives as excuses to leave where God has called them to lead. You're using your wife as a reason to leave a place where God has called you to lead. I'm not saying that pastor did everything correct, because he didn't. We know that. But he did express to men how important it was that they lead their own households. How you serve. And we're not seeing that. Like I said earlier, January 2024, oh, it was 60 people in that church, kinfolk. Maybe a little bit after that, because I ain't gonna lie to you. James Ray Taylor, he did his thing. See, and we're going to get into it a little later on. I promise you. If y'all stick with me, I promise you, we're going to get into it. I ain't got no problem with James Ray Taylor, the bishop. I love him to life. I love both of them. But some of y'all, oh, my brothers and sisters, I love you to life, your folk. I love you to life. But some of y'all are so capped. Some of y'all are so capped with the way that y'all have went about this. You're so outraged. You're so outraged. But the stuff that y'all are doing is not becoming of the body. Stop blaming your wife for leaving a place where you're supposed to serve. Deacons stood in front of future deacons and asked them, were they going to stay there? Were they going to serve? And then they left. And we're acting like it's the prompting of God, but it's really our hearts and our emotions that get entangled in what's going on, that we don't show up and serve where our feet are supposed to be planted. And it's not acceptable, guys. I say that in love. It's not acceptable. So, we got the timeline. We got the timeline. So, as we move ahead here, in February of 2025, like I said, he was sued. The church was sued for a bunch of trumped up charges. I don't care how you feel about it. It is what it is, kinfolk. Sometimes, if we walk like a duck, talk like a duck, it's Aflac, kinfolk. It's a duck. It is what it is. But in the midst of all of that going on, what happens in March of 2025? What's up, my boy? Randy C. Mays in the building. JesusMyPlug.net. Go holler at my boy. March 2025, the felony charges were dropped by a grand jury and the judge. Now, I want you to stop for a second because I know how y'all do. I ain't gonna lie to you, kinfolk. I know how y'all are. Y'all gonna hit me with a bunch of, oh, he paid him off. Kinfolk, he ain't got that much money now. Now, I ain't counting Pastor Pockets. I don't know how rich a man he is now. I ain't saying that. He got some money on him. He's a smart businessman. But we got to stop the cap. And what's happened here is this situation has exposed a lot of people's hearts. Because we had energy. We had a lot of energy for people who felt the need to come and talk about how they felt sorry for the victims and all of these things. And you should. Listen, I have 3 daughters. I have an 18-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. I have a mama, I got a sister, I got family members. Kinfolk, if they say somebody assaulted them, I'm ready to come run across your lips, kinfolk. I'm ready to come. I want to take this part across your face, kinfolk. I'm just telling you the truth. So victims matter. But we got to keep the same energy. We have to. You wanna so we wanna go on and we fighting the power and we rebelling against the fake pastors and ask for me in my house, huh? Oh, ask for me in my house, huh? All those type of actions. But when the felony charge, the major charge gets dropped. Somebody told me that the misdemeanor charge was only attached, and I'm not, just stick with me here. The misdemeanor charge was only attached because the felony charge was shaky to begin with. Whether you believe it or not, I'm just telling you what I was told, okay? So in March, after there's a lawsuit out, the felony gets dropped. Grand jury says, hey, we don't got enough for this, dog. We can't figure, I don't know what to tell you, but we got to let this go. If you're a person who wants justice to be served, I would like to think that you believe in some way this is some type of victory. What I want people to understand here is this is a man, flesh and blood, that has children, that has a mother who recently passed. My condolences again, Pastor, on your mom passing. You don't have your parental parents in your life anymore. You have a few select close friends. I just want people to think what it's like to be a quote unquote public figure, to have a responsibility, to serve, to love, to preach the word, all of those things. And once again, it's like if you remember the movie A Time to Kill, right? And this father who goes on this rampage and unalives these individuals who essayed and raped his child, the only way that jury was able to understand was they had to be put in those shoes. They had to see Imagine this girl strung up after she's been raped and mutilated and treated as less than human. That still didn't do it. He said, now imagine she's white. All I'm saying to y'all in this moment right here is imagine if this was you. I'm saying you're innocent until you're proven guilty. That's what I'm telling you. So I don't care. Seeing all of the stories and the people that were hopping on different posts, and sidebar, Urban Arlington, you got 48 hours. Urban Arlington, you got 48 hours now. Now you took the post down, but I want you guys to report it as well. I just want us to keep the same energy. I don't got a problem with nobody. As much as you would like to think that I'm picking sides, I'm actually not. I just want us to put ourselves in the shoes. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go down that rally I was gonna go down because I don't want to piss no. I'm already about to piss people off. I seen it was 11 people. Now we down to 5. Y'all gonna be pissed. It is what it is. Love you to life anyway. So anyway, the felony charges are dropped. So a month later, April 21st, the misdemeanor charges dropped for lack of evidence. So at this point, there's no trial. I believe that, and please hear my heart, because I know y'all are. Hear my heart now. There was some type of mental things going on with the alleged victim. She's a prior SA victim. So there's a lot of things that could be taken a certain way. What I always said during that season of life, for me, and as I was experiencing all this stuff in real time, do I believe that something inappropriate happened? You could argue that. If somebody takes something a certain way, whether it was I want to be careful on how I say this, because y'all people, man, I know how y'all are, bro. Y'all just need to chill out, bro. I want to say this in the right way. When you're dealing with men and women, right? When you're dealing with men and women here, kinfolk, there are some expectations sometimes. I'll say it that way. Just because somebody feels uncomfortable, if I apologize, I think that's the right thing to do as a man. If I go to someone's house, or somebody comes to my house, it don't matter. Some people at people's houses, okay? And we are being grown. If I touch you inappropriately, and you acknowledge to me something was done to you inappropriately, I believe you should apologize. I'm not saying that you're a creep. I'm not saying you're not one. I'm not having a dog in a fight, really. I'm telling you should apologize. But it's almost like you can't be chivalrous. You can't be chivalrous in today's society. We live in a world where they say nice guys finish last, right? I don't care about that stuff, right? I'm just saying, for men who are kind, their saw is weak. From what society, I'm not talking about church, I'm saying for what society puts out, it is the expectation that men should have a certain whatever to them. And whether that's right or wrong, I'm not here to determine, because I don't really care. I don't live my life by how society says I should live. But I will say, we have to be careful. We have to tread lightly with the double standard that is relationships, expectations for men, what is considered good and proper, all of those things. So that was top to bottom. This is the divorce situation. This is the, alleged assault situation. What is the fallout? What is the fallout of everything that has happened over a 2-year span with KCC, with Pastor Goines? What is the fallout? I tell you this. Um, man, I see, and I've said it before, I say it a lot actually, but it's very true. I believe better than any animal I've ever seen in the wild kingdom, animal kingdom, the church knows how to eat its young. We know. Listen, I'm telling you, they come out the womb. We clean them up. They clean. They pretty, and we eat our young. I'm telling you. I just am disappointed at the people that have left without any conversation. The sneak dissing on socials, it's expected in this generation, but the lack of accountability for your own actions, yeah, man, it's disappointing. I'll say this: the ignorance of the body is alarming to me. We are very ignorant. We're not well read in our Bible. We don't understand what love actually is. We don't know how. We don't know Galatians 6:1. We don't know how to bear each other's burdens. We don't know how to be mature spiritual adults who love people but disagree with what they do, and it shows for all the people. Because there's some people I can name and I'm not, because I respect them. There are people who left and they went in peace. They never made a post. They never, I mean, they probably said what they said in the privacy of their own homes or their own social friend groups. But man, the people who played victim, the people who fake cared and were fake mad, we know who y'all are. I'm gonna say this. Because I made reference to this person earlier. All the people who bounced between James Ray Taylor and Pastor Ronnie Wayne Goines, I'm gonna tell you right now, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. As somebody who love you, I'm gonna tell you, you're wrong. I don't care if that man was wrong as four left shoes, kinfolk. You're wrong. You're wrong. You just stop. All of this playing between, bro, we are in this together, and I hope you guys understand that. I love the bishop. You hear me? I love that man. I watched him. I saw his heart. I seen how he served. I'm not saying he's done everything correct. I think that's the misconception with us, is like we classify who right, who wrong. No, we put this thing, we do it based off of this. And we try to take our emotions and our feelings out of it. Because my emotions are going to lead me astray. If my mind, my will, my emotion, and my intellect is not submitted unto the authority of Christ, I'm going to go off the deep end. That's just what it is, y'all. But here's the thing. If you were a fan of James Ray Taylor, if you are a fan of James Ray Taylor, I'd rather you just say that. Ain't nobody mad. He great. Do you hear me? The man can preach. He's solid. He's sound. He's human though, but he's a great man. But for you to now you're an enemy of pastor and people go to KCC, I think you wild for that, yo. And I'm just being real. We have to stop doing this to each other. It's okay if you want to go over there. I'm going to go visit at some point. I don't have a church body right now. I'm just be honest with y'all. I didn't think it would be proper. Now, mind you, I can go where I want to. I can do what I want. Ain't nobody going to whoop me now. Ain't nobody going to put hands and feet on me. And if you do, anyone in here, what's Lex Jr.? I mean, hopefully this ain't no spam. You know who in here. Yeah, we in here. We in here. Anyway, But yes, if you're a fan of James Ray Taylor, I love the Taylor family. Period. I'm not picking no sides. I think that's corny of y'all to pick sides. Nobody knows anything outside of, and this is how I know nobody knows, right? Because James Ray Taylor don't be talking like that. He just don't. He don't. He's a very keep it under wraps guy. Sorry. So all of that stuff that y'all been putting out there or acting like y'all just know that y'all in the know is cap. I'm sorry. So, that was a part of the mass exodus was people, there were murmurs. Listen, I'm not a fool. Going back to mid to late 2024, there were murmurs. And if Taylor started church, I'm gone. Come on, Kifo. If we gonna sit on here, if we gonna call a spade, let's do it. People gonna come on, people gonna go off. That's on y'all, man. If y'all feel away, cool. I still love you to life. But yeah, there were murmurs. I heard them. That's your right. I'm gonna be honest. That's your right. If you just are a fan, I'd rather you just say that. If you just didn't like how Pastor was moving, that's your right as well. But we acting like we ain't serving the same God, and that's the crazy thing. Y'all wild for that. So this isn't what is if somebody what's is it Garden of Life? Is it Garden of Life? No disrespect to my boy. I love him. I believe it's called Garden of Life. If you want, man, listen, this ain't Garden of Life versus KCC, man. Stop it. That's just what it is. So here's another thing. Certain failures should be smelling salt to the body. Certain failures should have represented smelling salt to the body. What does smelling salt do? It wake you up, kinfolk. It's ammonia, and something else. There was a mass exodus at a certain point of people leaving KCC to go where? OCBF. Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship. It was looking like junior KCC up in that joint, dog. And I had never been. I ain't got nothing I love Tony Evans. I got his Bible right here, kinfolk. But there was the first mass exodus was people leaving KCC to go to OCBF. And then like a month later, can anybody tell me what happened? Pray tell. Can anybody, that the 5 people that say watching right now, can somebody tell me what happened at OCBF that was major news that we still don't know what happened? Anybody? Somebody. 35, 45, anybody. Yeah. Tony Evans stepped down. For what reason? I have no clue. We still don't know. But the point is, we got to stop acting like there's a perfect church. Coming back for a perfect church? God. He coming back for one without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. You ain't gonna be so let me ask you. Let me ask you a true question here. Do you believe? What was the question? Oh, what happened? What happened at OCBF? There was a mass exodus from KCC at a certain point, and the mass exodus sent a bunch of former KCC members to OCBF. A month later, something happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was done wrong. There was just an admittance that something was done wrong, and that the honorable Tony Evans, I think he's amazing. I think he's a pioneer of the faith. Stepped down from his church that he's ran for 30, 40 something years. Anybody know what happened? I don't know. My point is, though, once again, there is no perfect churches. I'm not saying that anything that any pastor has done over the past 2 years is right. I'm not. I'm not making excuses for nobody. I was never in a room with somebody when an offense was committed or at a jailhouse when it was reported. I'm just saying at some point as believers, we have to sit down and have real conversations about how we're showing up. Because what's also happening that I do have an issue with, I have a grave issue with. It's like I'll use it this way. It's like my grandmother, right? I was raised by my grandmother. My mom never raised me or took care of me like that. You know, I don't got nothing against my mom, I love her to life. My grandmother raised me, and my grandma used to cuss me. Do you hear me? She used to cuss me so bad that I would want to fight. I would want to fight somebody start cussing me. You hear me? Because I couldn't fight her. Love her to life. You know what I'm saying? It would be like me forgetting that my grandmother raised me, literally took me as a baby. My brother, my sister, who both were crack babies, took all. Oh, I wasn't a crack baby. Listen, I ain't trying to. You know, that wasn't my struggle. You know, that wasn't mine. You know, I ain't no disrespect to my siblings. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that wasn't. You know, my mama, she didn't start that journey until afterwards. But yeah, that would be like me forgetting that my grandmother raised me. Oh, she didn't buy me something. She didn't do something for me. And so now I forgot everything that she did to pour into my life. Y'all may not like it. You may not want to hear it. You may not appreciate it. But that man did a lot for a lot of people. And I say this again saying, I may very well become a member again at KCC. I'm not a member presently. I do go there. But I can never forget what that man did for me. I can never forget the solid words that he gave. I can never forget how he showed up for people. And he may not have showed up for your sister when she was in the hospital, but he showed up for other ones. He gave you money when you was down, when your lights was about to get cut off. I'm not making excuses for this man. I hope y'all hear me now. I'm not making excuses. I just want y'all to understand that you can't forget where you can't forget what somebody has represented to you because you disagree with the fact that he got divorced. You can't all of a sudden run for the hills because there were charges brought up. Because kinfolk, some of y'all kinfolk, come on, dog. We from the funk, man. Hey, listen, man. We from some trench parts, dog. Everything ain't true. And listen, all we know, these are the facts. These are the facts. Charges were brought against him. This is what we know. I'm not making a case either way. I'm telling you, this is what was collated, quantified in court documents. There was an SA charge felony. There was a misdemeanor indecent assault. There wasn't enough evidence. Now if you telling me that he in cahoots with APD and they done got rid of evidence, and I just want to, listen, man, I just want us to stop, and I want us to keep that same energy, kinfolk. I'm not saying that you got to like him. I'm not saying that you got to come rushing back, but it's like we never had certain conversations, yo, and that's what hurt. I'm telling you, this hurts my heart that as a body, we couldn't have had a real conversation. Here's what I will say, because I've been honest this whole time. I believe that pastor could have helped himself in public opinion within that church a lot more if he would have had more moments of vulnerability where he was just absolutely, this is really where I'm at, y'all, throughout the divorce process. Because you're never gonna, let me say it this way, you're never gonna make everybody happy. You're not. Everybody is not always gonna be pleased with the choices that you make. So if you choose to keep everything in-house and this is my business, that's fine. But if you also choose to get on stage and it's like a boom, then people are gonna take offense to that as well. Okay, hold on. Let me go. Let me get to the comments. And hold on, before I read this, also remember, even though you left me on red on Instagram, kinfolk, that's my kinfolk right there. But we're gonna get to it. So let me read these comments before we get back to the show. Um, we have to just sit still and not act out of emotion. Absolutely correct. Um, give it some time and then make a decision based off of the Lord's guidance. That's a mature believer type of thing. I'm not saying everybody that left didn't do that, but that's something that's easier said than done. I never felt that I was supposed to leave based off of what was happening. Just continue to serve and be present to hear from the Lord through the. That was all that it was. All right, so Kinfo, what you saying now? I was the one that left KCC 2021-22 and joined OCBF prior to the Exodus. I am not sure of the specific facts at OCBF, but I do appreciate it was handled. So what do you mean by that? Like that it was handled? Um, that I'm just wondering. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean by you do appreciate how? Oh, you appreciate how it was handled. Okay, so you mean that he went quietly? I'm almost certain that that's what you mean. Um, you said I agree. PG did some phenomenal things in my life and contributed greatly to my marriage. I will never forget it. And that's all I ask. I mean, listen, I'm nobody. I'm not acting like I'm somebody. I'm just a, hey, look, hey, kinfolk, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about a somebody who can save anybody, kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I'm like, man, can we not throw away our people? That's all I ask for real. Um, you have the right to go to whatever church you want to go to. You have the right to disagree with however people are moving. But don't forget. Can we please not forget? As I heard one of my partners say recently, can we not get amnesia? Can we just not get amnesia and act like people ain't never? I'm like, bro, like going back to my mom. I'm so grateful that my mom brought me into this earth, kinfolk. I ain't gonna act like my mama done did a whole lot of things for me in my life because she hasn't. And that is no shade. It's just reality. Well, ooh, I'm so glad she brought me here. Do you hear me? I'm so glad that my dad was old taxi. You know what I'm saying? The old Uber to get me here. Do you hear me? So, man, for anybody who's tapped in, man, I appreciate everybody for even staying by and watching for a little bit. We still got some show to go here. Please do me a favor and hit the like, man. Subscribe if you haven't. This is a platform, man, where I want to give you guys plenty of content. Also, if you still on here, kinfolk, I would love to interview you as well. I have many different platforms on here, cultivating conversations. I love to have you on have a little conversation about what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations on the lawyer. You know what I'm saying? She old lawyer and whatnot. I think that's dope. So, back to what I was saying earlier. You know, the situation with Tony Evans. You know, my kinfolk Samaj, she said she appreciate how it was handled. I will say this. I do wish that Pastor would have ducked off a little bit more. I'll say it that way. Um, you know, our relationship with God, even as people who serve, who have titles, is not contingent upon the place where we report and clock in. It's just not. And I understand that Pastor was at a pivotal time in his life where he felt like he needed to be on that stage. He needed to be around certain people. I can't be mad at him for that. I also still wish that he would have laid low a little longer. I will also say I appreciated the fact that even though I was never at OCBF, it was at least 3 months that I don't think nobody had heard or seen him. I think when you going through what you're going through, you do got to get out the way. You know what I'm saying? And cool. I'm serious. I'm gonna reach out to you, because I do want to. I want to get my interviews. I want to get my interviews. You know what I'm saying? I love doing interviews. So anyway, so we had Tony Evans step down. Like I said, we don't know what's going on. Talk about being connected, kinfolk. And then Gateway Church, March 12th of this year, Pastor Robert Morris, 5 acts of he was indicted 5 acts of lewd child sex crimes. Um, so it's an epidemic going on in the body, and this is what I want people to also realize is that there is an attack on the body. You know that there is absolutely a kingdom of darkness that we fighting against every day of our lives. We're not ignorant to his schemes. And the only way that we can be is if we aren't reading our word, if we aren't being in fellowship, if we aren't working together as a body. There's an attack against pastors. There's an attack against believers. And it's very evident. Put one in the chat if you prayed for your pastor in the past month, if you have a pastor. Put one in the chat if you've literally prayed for your pastor in the last month. Because these men and some women, they're human beings at the end of the day. They got struggles. They got desires. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna skip ahead on this. Because this is a point that I have somewhere else. For the love of everything holy, kinfolk, I want y'all to stop acting like y'all don't be getting no snatch. I want y'all to stop acting like y'all ain't getting no trim in the church, kinfolk. I gotta turn my head back around. I want y'all to stop acting like y'all ain't getting no doonies in the church. Hey, listen, kinfolk, let me tell you this. It's amazing to me how the church be multiplying in numbers like when the disciples went out after Jesus had gone, they got the Holy Spirit and it said that they were multiplied in numbers. Y'all be acting like y'all don't get no trim. Bye. For all y'all who left, y'all can go. I'm sorry. I just want y'all to be, what is that? Sex. For the unmarried believers. Kinfolk. Sex. Coitus. See Maze. See his emoji. Stop acting like y'all ain't having sex in the church. Y'all be getting drunk. Y'all be going to the club. Yeah, but you married, kinfolk. Chill out, dog. We don't even want to. Hey, go on somewhere, dog. You know what I'm saying? Go on somewhere, dog. We don't want to hear that. All right, man. All right. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, man. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Where these babies coming from? Cause Sister Keisha ain't been married. Yeah, bro. Just go on by it. Just go on by it, dog. Just go. See, babes. Just go to go on by that, dog. Just go. You ain't see none of that, folk. But all seriousness, y'all. Stop acting like we ain't all human out here. So my point is, Pastor was when these charges came out, there was a separation, but Pastor was still legally considered married when this all first happened. Done in poor taste. We don't have to act like that's a secret, right? Done in poor taste. But how do you cope? How do you filter through things that you've dealt with in life? I'm really asking this question. How do you cope with the things that you deal with in life? Is it alcohol? Kinfolk, I'll say this. It is my belief from every movie and TV show I've seen that lawyers drink. There's a lot of time to look over paperwork and to de-stress, and drinking is what they do. It's like talking about cops eating donuts or drinking as well. How do we cope with the tough things that we go through in life? That's what I want to know. Because the more that we can humanize ourselves is the more that we can actually start looking at each other as human. It's like I don't hurt anymore. It's like, okay, yeah, I got my stuff going on, but you a pastor, you a bishop, you a deacon. Let me tell you something, folk. I know a couple deacons right now taking a strong drink, folk. I know two deacons, folks, that are taking a strong drink, and the Bible clearly say, don't be giving. Hey, listen now, you got to be husband and wife. You got to have this, and don't be taking a strong drink. And I know a couple deacons that taking a strong drink. I'm telling you what the Lord loves. So let's just keep all things fair here, kinfolk. So anyway, let me keep going. We pray and partake in moderation, and that may be how you do it. But it's some out there getting plastered. So yeah, man, I just want y'all to stop acting like y'all ain't out here. Y'all ain't out here frucking. And I said F-R-U. Don't hop off. Don't get mad. Y'all don't say nothing when Larry Reed Live said. Yeah. No, y'all be doing that. So, yeah, if y'all ain't having babies and smoking crack, who doing it? Let me see here. Public shaming should be followed by public apologies and confessions across the board. Yeah, I had to say it, kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? Because Larry Reed Live is very disrespectful, to be honest with you. He gonna say that about Tony Evans. Somebody must have been frucking. That's so funny and sick at the same time. But no, I do believe in keep that same energy culture though. For all those who publicly shamed, who went on there and said, I know it. I seen it. He hugged me one time. Man, ain't nobody hugged you, girl. You ain't even cute. Nobody wasn't looking at you like that. I just want, yeah, F-R-U, yeah, fruh. Fruh, yeah. Nah, man, yeah, we just gotta stop the cap, dog. That's all I'm saying on that. What this also showed us is that pastor worshiping is a real thing. We have to stop being pulled. And don't get me wrong, I've been told and understand that I'm a charismatic person myself. I get it. But we have to also understand that when it comes to being a leader, when it comes to being a pastor, a preacher, a teacher, I believe that you have to, number one, I hope that what pastor also takes away from this situation is that you really put a fence around yourself. A healthy fence. Listen, if you are a man of the people, a woman of the people, I get that. But you would be a fool to walk into a burning building again with no oxygen mask. You can't, we can't go about life the same way, right? This ain't like you were married once and then you get married again and you learn to love. No, this is learning to protect yourself in a way that there is a real healthy barrier so that when people are coming into your space, you're able to better assess what they got going on, what their intentions are. So that's what I hope. And I hope that, man, as a body, we learn to love in a way that is accepting but not condoning. Is that the right way to put that? I accept you, but I don't condone everything that you do. And with that means that we don't gotta fall out because I don't like what you like, or I don't like something you said or you did. And I just feel like this situation in some ways, it's like, fam, pastors get divorced. He just has a gift to preach the word and you don't. So we got to stop worshiping what people do. We got to stop worshiping people. When you get to know God for yourself, you'll be able to better assess how to handle people, what's going on, be sensitive to the spirit, but that's a whole nother situation. Prioritizing a title, gift, or donation amount over human souls, their integrity and morality, and the such is destroying the church. Charismatic or not. The worship leader that like men, the charismatic pastor that sleeps around. We gotta stop prioritizing the gifts, the titles, I believe at one point they said that there's a special roped off row for people at Potter's house. Is that right or wrong? To my knowledge, they said at a certain point, Kurt Franklin could come walk in there and it was a velvet rope area that he could walk through. I don't know if it's true or not. That's what I was told. But we gotta stop taking that approach. Listen, man, we all in this thing together. You know what I'm saying? Charismatic or not. We gotta also stop having unrealistic expectations for people. We gotta stop having poor communication, poor comm. We gotta stop having poor comm, kinfolk. That's it. You know what I'm saying? We gotta start having better comm. Communication, for those of you, that's new lingo y'all gotta get hip to. Poor comm. So I said, what should be done if he is in fact a victim of grave misrepresentation and slander? So that's my question. I want to know, for the people who are in here, what should be done if he is in fact a victim? If this was a grave misrepresentation or slander, what if this was a money ploy? I mean, I'm just wondering, what should we do? Do we just say my bad and let bygones be bygones? Like, somebody please tap in with me and let me know, how do you handle this? Because at this point, if that's true, right? If we can look at this situation, right? Because like I said, we weren't in that room. We don't know what happened 2 nights in a row, which is crazy, but that's a whole nother situation. Whatever. If this was a ploy, this man's name is drugged through the mud. There are going to be people who see Dr. Ronnie Wayne Goines, and he is forever some level of assaulter or rapist. This ain't OJ. He ain't pulled a glove out and the glove stopped right here. This ain't that, y'all. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm not saying that how he was moving in that season was right. I'm not saying none of that. What I'm saying is that man was found as not guilty. Whoever was the perpetrator should be charged. Oh, you mean like if she was lying, she should get a charge? Is that what you're saying? Be clear with me on that, because I don't understand where you're going with that one. Whoever was the perpetrator should be charged. What does that mean? But yeah, or give him his money back from the lawyer fees. Hey, here's my issue with this, right? Because it works the same way for men. And we don't like talking about this, right? Because as men, we don't want to be seen as weak or less than, especially as black men, right? We don't get to show emotion like that oftentimes and stuff like that. Defamation, okay. But let me ask you that. Let me ask you this. I'm sorry. What is the hope? What is the expectation in a defamation suit? Because like I'm saying, once again, he is seen as, this is what you are now. What would a defamation suit do? What is the perfect outcome for a defamation suit? And we almost done, y'all. We got 2 more points and we done. So thank y'all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Even if you somebody on here lurking, kinfolk, thank you for lurking. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like. Appreciate you. But yeah, I'm gonna give you some time to write that out, kinfolk. But I do want to know, like, to recover money and clear your name. Well, then that sounds like what he need to do then, kinfolk. That's just what it is. Recover money. But here's the problem. And let me ask you this, because I often wonder this. When somebody doesn't have money, and I'm not saying poor, because from what I do know, she a dentist. I think I seen that in one of the many articles that I was reading. What if that? So do you do payment plans? What if that person can't pay you? How does that work? Because I would absolutely want my name clear. My brother used my name to the police, and I was ready to burn down the town about it. Do you hear me? So how does that work? How does payment and recouping funds? Do you say, hey, pay me a lump sum, or you have to pay this person out? Can you do garnishment of wages? How does that work, kinfolk? And in the meantime, we will move on to the next thing. We, people who simply love the gun, want to do process recall. Okay, so I just want to pop. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's one guy in particular I know I ain't gonna never get it. I'm never gonna get it. Oh, no, you're never gonna get it. I know I ain't gonna get it. I want you to apologize to me, boy. You hear me? Because you said that we was crash outs and fools and idiots and all of this stuff. And I'm like, fam, here's the thing. When you love somebody, you want the best for them. I also was saying the whole entire time, I was saying, if he did something that was true to what those charges were, justice needs to be served. I said it a million times. Nobody wanted to hear that. Anthony was being this follower and this crash dummy. I'm like, what? People don't listen though. People don't use their list. They don't put the thinking cap on. They just say whatever. I think what gets lost in the fray a lot of the times when you're trying to defend people is you don't realize that you got a family member, you got a person that you love, somebody that you're attached to that you need to protect by having the gift of presence, not arguing on social media with people. I'm gonna say this. Some of you, hold on, let me say it this way, to quote Jay-Z. My baby mama harder than a lot of you niggas. And I say that because some of y'all need to stop acting like girls, man. Simply put. Yep, I know. Y'all gonna leave. Bye. Stop acting like girls. We are men. Let's have conversations. We don't gotta throw slugs at each other on social media. We don't gotta play victim on social media. We are not in this case. We were not in that case because it's not a case anymore. Don't drop the pride, drop the ego, and apologize. If somebody, man, listen, if that man offended you, have a conversation. That's all I'm saying. Lastly, yeah, man, that's real. We need to stop acting like girls, man. I mean that. And I'm not, and if you're offended by it, that's a part of the reason. Let's just talk, bro. We don't gotta, man, listen. Let me tell you something. This is something that me and my partner been saying forever and a day. We've been saying this for about 4-5 years now. Just keep living, sir. Just keep living, man. Things change. You could be good today, and things could shift drastically tomorrow. You could be up today and down tomorrow. Just keep living, sir. You could have the money, the car, the wife, and the health can go bad tomorrow. This is the life that we really live. Just keep living. Oh man, chill out, chill out, chill, chill, fam. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. No, no, don't do that. It will cost him money to pursue a defamation claim against her, and if he prevails, my bad. Let me put that up there, kinfolk. Um, it will cost him money to pursue a defamation claim against her, and if he prevails, she will be court ordered to pay. The likelihood of actually recouping those funds is contingent upon her assets. And so, and even then, at that point, it's about how important is it to you. Come on, contingent upon. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's the fiduciary matter of sorts. You know what I'm saying? The fiduciary. Um, yeah, man. Even at that point, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think Pastor would even care about the money. What's most important to any man is his name. Period. And so I just believe that in this instance, man, I don't think it's a bad idea. Not because you want to drag her through the mud, but it's like, listen, you did everything you could to make my name bad. I just want my name back. I just want my name back. And so just keep living. I'm telling you. And I was going to talk about this on my other because there's another church flow coming on Saturday, I believe. I'm gonna do another one on Saturday. That's a regular show. But listen, man. Me and my boy, man, we get into the weeds about stuff all the time, and it's something that I was talking to him about was the idea that we got to be at peace with the fact that there's not much that we can do to make ourselves worthy of the goodness of God. We got to stop thinking that, oh, if I just live sin free, I'm just I'm just worthy of the benevolence of God. That's not real, y'all. It says that our best efforts are as filthy rags. And so I just want us to understand that just because that wasn't your thing doesn't mean that you're any closer to God than he is or was. We have to learn how to forgive people. I have a hard time like feeling, like emotionally feeling. And I think it's because a lot of times in my life, I just had some hard 37 years on this earth. Lord willing, I see 38 this year. I know I don't look it. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. Goof at him. But nah, man, I just have a hard time feeling sometimes. And so it's like I'm just more used to things going bad than things going good. And, we got to start shifting the way that we view life, how we view each other, how we see people. And I'm just saying that because I'm learning. I'm just learning, man. It's really hard when somebody has done wrong to me, when somebody has said something crazy to me. I'm not sitting up here telling you something that I'm really like, I'm like, no, I'm in this boat with y'all. I'm like, man, I really struggle to like, bruh, if you done did something, because my thing is like, it's not to say that you won't go through tough times with people, especially believers, right? Because these aren't people that you grew up with. This ain't your blood relative. This is people who now have the blood of Christ. You get what I'm saying? Which is greater than the blood that we share between each other in our earthen vessels. There go another one, kinfolk, our earthen vessels. But man, when people wrong me, I really have a hard time letting that stuff really just be water under the bridge. Or I have had a hard time in my past. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's to the point to where I can forgive you, but I'm cool on you, kinfolk. Like I'm real cool on you. Like you up, you down. That's your business, man. I love you. I'm praying for you. And that's something God got to work with me on. This is what I want us to like. What the thing that I put here is church love is the lowest form of love, apparently. Somehow the people who have been forgiven the most on earth don't know how to love and forgive others. It's the story of the ruler. I forgot what his title was, but it's the story of the man who went to the judge or the ruler and said, I can never repay you. Can you please forgive me? Whatever. Can you or give me a break or something? I know the story is weird because I wasn't gonna bring it up, so it's leaving me right now. But he was forgiven. He turned around and he owed like millions of dollars or something like that. And for those of you who are tuning in, let me stop to reset the room really quick. We have been spending a lot of time recapping the KCC things. These messages be actually throwing me off a lot, but I do appreciate it. Man, thank everybody for tapping in. So far, man. Right now we've been going over the KCC, Pastor Ronnie Wayne Goines case. We've talked about the fallout from the church, all the things that have happened, and yeah, man. Right now we are kind of rounding out how we can help and do better. You know what I'm saying? As a body of believers, how to forgive, how to love. At the end of it all, every show, it doesn't matter. We have to learn how to love and forgive. One of the things, and Randy, I want to choke you, but going back to my original thought, church is the lowest form of love these days. And, it's the story of the man who essentially was owed tons of money. He owed this guy tons of money. Like we'll say it was like the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was forgiven of the entire debt, and then somebody that owed him a few dollars, he was very, very, very hard on him, and wanted to beat him. All of these things, and the ruler came back and was essentially like sentenced him to death. Somebody could have really helped me reset that story because I promise you I butchered it. But the point is, we have to always remember that we are forgiven much. We are absolutely forgiven much by a great God, a good Father, that we don't deserve to have the forgiveness and love that He gives us. And in this situation, I absolutely 1000% believe that pastors should be grateful for everything that has happened, because I believe, like the word says, that the Father chastens after those He loves. And I believe that if nothing else, he received correction from God that could redirect and steer his path in a way that now he can learn and be able to show up for people in a way that he never was able to. When you have been through the worst of the worst, when you have experienced the Judas, the infidel type of foolery from people, it's like I was talking to my boy, and I was talking about how if black people are looking to get in power so that we can turn around and exact that same thing on the people that we claim, we want to teach a lesson to, we're no better than our oppressor. And so my encouragement to you all is to find it in you to love better. Find it in you to forgive. I'm preaching to myself here. I promise you I am, because I miss the mark on a regular basis. But there's breath in our body and our lungs, man. And to whom much is given, much is required. All of those things, all of those great church quotes that you could live by or get tattooed on your arm. We have to learn how to love and how to forgive. Because if we can't bear each other's burdens, what are we doing here? So, was there anything that I didn't cover? From anybody in the comments, was there anything else that y'all wanted to tap in with? Did you have any final thoughts? I want to get to that. Listen, if you ain't paid your tithe, the mind of a man. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, we just a local Zoom ministry, man. We just trying to build, you know what I'm saying? I need some cameras in this junk, you feel me? If y'all want to support, y'all can. And in all seriousness, I am looking to make subtle upgrades, not through much as lighting, but in the cameras and things of that nature. So if it is put on your heart to give, you absolutely can. I don't touch this money because I absolutely want it to go towards building up this studio continuously. But I do thank everybody for tuning in, man. Please don't forget, don't forget that God is the reason that you have breath in your body, and that He put us on earth to do life together. I promise you. Man, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, man, the Mind of a Man Network. There's plenty of content to get here. I thank you guys for tuning in, man. Thank you for everybody who's been rocking with me for 2 hours, man. If you came in and went back out, thank you so much. Man, reach out to that guy, man, and tell him that you love him, man. Have tough conversations this week. Necessary tough conversations with people. And clear the air, but do it in love. Man, listen. As I end every show, man, I love you. May the Lord keep you. I'll see you at the conference. Until next week, man. Say la. Peace.